Welcome to the Low Lowdown Podcast with your hosts, Jerry Sullivan and Jacob Cooperman. Your destination for everything sports and current events from two diehard fans with too many takes. Live from their college dorm, it's time to hop into the week's events with a critical eye. Enjoy the show.
All right, what do we got? Joe Budden Spotify's deal. Spotify debacle. Shouldn't say deal.
Well, I just find it funny that he's just openly mocking Spotify for the
while he's still on the
whole contract dispute plus the Amy Schumer thing.
Have you listened to our podcast?
While he's
it's a tough listen.
I mean, it's
Amy Schumer too, but
objectively speaking, Amy Schumer is like not funny.
She's not,
and you know.
You can't. I mean, if you're not funny,
it's almost like a cultural fad to not. Well, not really a fad. It's a cultural norm that like. Anybody really like her?
Yeah, no. I know of like a few people that like her, but that's like my mom and my aunt. You know, like we love her comedy. It's like okay.
She's objectively not funny, and Joe Budden is funnier. And
Joe Budden is hilarious.
And you know the fact that he's openly mocking Spotify with like what do they have like 3 or 4 episodes?
Something like that. Some of that ballpark.
So obviously this is not going to work out. But Joe Budden doesn't need Spotify.
He doesn't. Well, I could see him going to like Stitcher or something after his contract's up. I don't envision a reality where he leaves Spotify and he doesn't have someone else knocking on his door. I'm sure.
No.
I'm
He's obviously going to go and get his. Hold on, he doesn't need Spotify for that.
That's what I'm saying. Just give me a second. Like I don't think that, like you said, he's gonna leave Spotify and he's just gonna be out in the cold. Like I guarantee, and I'd be willing to bet money on this that there are Stitcher's probably hitting him up right now because I guess if he's already openly castrating Spotify while he's still on contract, I'm sure other companies like One Tree, like I said, Stitcher, probably. I mean, I don't know if Apple Podcasts does exclusive deals. I imagine they do.
Coop TV.
Coop TV's hitting them up.
Or Whimsical filmmaker, or Whimsical TV.
Whimsical TV channel is hitting them up. No, but I said,
I could pay you 30 cents a podcast.
I could pay you in one Iona coffee for podcast. And you have to do a live show in our dorm room. I don't know where you fell, Jerry. I don't know if you looked into what happened with him and Spotify to make him cry out like this. Apparently, he shattered. And when I say he shattered, I mean he shattered every single metric that they gave him in terms of like audience retention. Like, for anyone that's listening to this podcast and doesn't understand how podcasts work, to have audience retention go 100% way through or 100% of the way through.
If you raise your audience by 100%,
you
double it.
I think he got
it by like
900%. But also talking about audience retention during the episode, for us, right? I'll give you guys a little sneak peek into our audience metrics. We average about people listen to about 85% of our show, and we go for about like 45 to an hour, maybe hour 15. This man goes for about 3 hours, and his audience retention is 100% of the way through. So that's really unheard of. And
the difference is he doesn't have like 100 million people listening to each episode like we do.
I mean, he doesn't have a big audience size that can just dip in and out.
You know what I mean?
Super busy people that just listen to our podcast when they have free time. They're not working out, working on deals, They're very
Well, I mean, the difference too is that our podcast is must listen, his isn't. But after a while, we're so good that people don't want to spoil themselves and ruin the rest of their day because it's not as good as listening to our podcast. That's what they lose.
Yeah, they only listen to like little 5-minute segments. They get a little too excited, so they have to kind of like flip it off for the meantime.
Like, think about it. If you listen to our podcast, the rest of your day now sucks because
nothing will
match it.
Right.
So,
nothing
Joe Budden has a great podcast, obviously, since people are listening to it.
But it's just a flat line in terms of like where it goes up, right?
Yeah, he's not us.
He's not us. No, you're right.
That's a fact.
Yeah, I mean, and another thing to mention too is we can do with 2 people what he can only dream to do with 3. So, and 4 if you count parts.
And listen, I mean, Joe Budden, like, he can bitch and moan all he wants, but Spotify only has so much room in the budget, and since they're already giving us the bank the minute our contract is up, then
I might consider leaving Spotify now, though. I don't know. I mean, for me, I don't know about you, Jerry, but $75 million per episode just doesn't seem realistic at all.
All jokes aside, do you know what Spotify pays music artists?
How much
per listen? So I'll just give some context. This is how I found it. The other day we were discussing this amongst friends. So this is just a little background story. Mariah Carey in Christmas Eve 2019 broke Spotify's single day streaming record.
Mm-hmm.
She had 11 streams of All I Want for Christmas Is You. 11 million, I mean, not 11. 11's not that much. She had 11 million streams of All I Want for Christmas Is You. Do you know how much money she made that day?
I'm gonna say, can I give a guess? 90 million.
$92,000.
Oh wow, I was really far off.
You make between,
I said 90 million.
Depending how big you are as an artist, how many streams you get, you make between 600ths and 84 hundredths of a cent. Or I'm sorry, I believe it's 6,000ths. Or like you make in order to make $1, essentially, you have to have like 1,000 something streams to make like $1
right
off of, or close to 1,000 streams to make $1 off of Spotify.
Well, it's the same thing with podcasters. I mean, getting into that, what Joe Budden was trying to say with Spotify is that they were pillaging their podcasters. Obviously, podcasting as a platform, as an art form, as a business is still so young. So what Spotify is doing, according to Joe Budden, and Spotify had kind of released a response, but it was like, oh, we hate to see Joe Budden go wherever he goes. We hope he's successful. So it wasn't really a response. It was just kind of like, toss it out there. So, some guy was writing it on his lunch break in whatever executive office. But here's the thing, right? Like podcasting, like I just said, is a very young art form. It's very profitable. And Joe Budden kind of led the way with that. He made the blueprint for people to get executive deals or exclusive deals, on podcasts. So if I'm Spotify and I get, again, what Joe was trying to make the point of is that Spotify, I think, and I do believe this to be true because other podcasts have come out, and decried Spotify's business tactics, is that Spotify cares more about the fruits of the labor than he said planting the seeds of a business like podcasting. And I think that's true. I mean, if they're doing that to artists, I can only imagine what they're doing to podcasters.
Here's the deal too, is that I could be wrong on this, but like so based off of so like, for example, let's just use a sports example, right?
Right, yeah.
Elite players in each sport, they're all making a certain salary. So like if you become an elite player in your sport, you have a benchmark to look at and say, hey,
I can get right.
Like, Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes makes this money. If I'm better than Patrick Mahomes, I should make at least that. What exactly, other than maybe like Joe Rogan, can Joe Budden point to and say, like, they make that much, I need that, plus a little more?
That goes back to what I was saying earlier.
You know what I mean? Like, it's, as you said, it's such a young thing that it's like,
nobody really knows what they're doing.
Nobody really knows, but it's also tough because nobody has yet established a market value. Like, this would kind of be the establishment of the market value.
It's a shame it has to happen like this, but you are correct, yes.
So Joe Budden can't point to somebody and say, hey, they're making that much. I'm doing the same thing and more. I should be making that much and more. Spotify's kind of saying like, hey, we're paying you what the market value is, because in reality, there's no market value.
In a way, they control the market value.
They know it's below the market value, but the reality is that there's not.
Well, also, that's the same thing that kind of happened with Call Her Daddy, or for lack of a better, something around what happened with that. And it's true. Both of these events have kind of highlighted the fact that nobody really has a roadmap right now for what podcasters should be making. I hope that it will one day become a profession. I think it will. I hope I can be doing this one day professionally. But right now, it's very just everything's up in the air. You know what I mean? What was I about to say? I had something else I want to add. No, I like what you brought up about the market value. Oh, right. I think what also, Joe Budden was saying and in response to Spotify was that, hey, I got my audience growth went up by 900%. I'm getting 500K per clip, views per clip and per podcast on my YouTube channel. And I was supposed to be getting paid bonuses as in the contract, as was written in the contract. And you guys offered us first Rolexes. We picked out Rolexes. You said, okay, no, used Rolexes. We picked out used Rolexes. You said, okay, no. Then they wanted to take a trip to Greece. And Spotify, keep in mind, offered all of this. They chartered the plane to Greece. It was going to be a private plane. Spotify said no. And then Joe Budden finally said, hey, listen, why don't we give it to the fans? Money to the fans for Christmas. No. So what he's saying is, I think that Spotify is viewing this more as a business, which kind of makes sense. They're a big budget corporation. But where Joe Budden is coming from, and I do agree with him on this, is that, hey, it's great that we're making you a lot of money, but remember who's making you the money, not just why you're making the money. You know what I mean? That's just where I fall on that.